Hopefully, but thank you.
Yes.
It's exciting.
It is exciting.
It
It's
is.
definitely something if you guys are interested in learning about a healthier lifestyle and maybe helping to tighten and tone a little bit, you definitely want to reach out, and you can find Stephanie at
My website is www.sburke.itworks.net.
excellent. Or you can, I do it too, but we always talk about Steph doing it because Steph's so good at it. And so that's why I'm like, you can go to Steph, because then I'd probably just ask Steph some questions like, wait a minute, is this right? Is that right? Because I'm a newbie at it. But I'm learning. I'm still going.
That's okay.
I'm still going. It's all right. Well, tonight we are blessed to have Rosemary Brocco on. How are you?
Hi, good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm so excited to have you on. Stephanie and I met you actually at Blue Angel Healing in Carver. Jody St. Ange was having how to pretty much manifest your own business using Facebook. So if you guys have been noticing posts, I know I do it a lot by me certain times of the day and certain days. It's because we took a little class to see when we get the most people so you guys can be more informed. That's what we want, is to inform people and inform them by the hundreds, thousands even, thousands. So, Rosemary, what's your page on Facebook?
It's Live Your Truth University. So it's www.facebook.com/Live Your Truth University.
And that's how it's done, guys. Go to Facebook, and because I think all three of us have pages, so we're always trying to promote Mind, Spirit, Medium, Tiffany on Facebook.
Live Your Truth University.
Stephanie Burke on Facebook.
See, so that's where we always post, and that's, again, following up with the class that we had. Well, I wanted to have you on, Rosemary, because I think especially now where it's springtime, and we're always focusing on rebirth and trying to harness what we can do, own our own self and be who we want to be. I was referring to you as a life coach, but you're actually considered a transformation coach.
Yep.
Now, can you explain what that is?
So I help people basically make the shift from living a life that is material-based to a life that is heart-centered and based on their own desires and their own unique gifts. So it's kind of the opposite of the way we've been brought up, at least in America, to focus our lives on, okay, I need to get material things, so I have to do a job that's a means to an end, and shifting to, like, why am I here, and what do I want to give to the world and receive value back for that.
Now, it's funny that you use the term as far as you don't want the materialistic part of you to misinterpret your heart-centered part, because it's true, we always get wrapped up in what we should do and how tradition is, and especially with some of us, we always want to follow in the footsteps of our parents, which in most cases are great, but at the same time, you may be ignoring your true self.
Right, and we definitely, it's not about not having material things. We definitely want that. It's just from taking it from a different approach. Instead of that being the center of our life, which everything else is based around, we put our heart in the center, and we base everything around that. And we get all the things we want and all the things we desire, just through a different route that's way more fulfilling.
Now, how long have you been practicing this for?
Well, I've been practicing, I've been working on all of this stuff for nearly 20 years, and I've been formally coaching for just over a year.
Now, what was that aha moment for you where you thought, this is what I want to do, this is something here, I have something to work with here, and this is where my heart's centered into doing and being able to live your passion. At what point, what was that turning point for you?
Well, about 10 years ago, I started studying yoga. And I knew when I started yoga that it was going to be some sort of teaching yoga or some sort of path where I was helping people go deeper within themselves. And then a couple of years ago, I got a coach myself. And people had said this to me many times over the 20 years that I've been doing all of this work, but it didn't really set in until my coach was like, I don't understand why you're not coaching. So it like unfolded really quickly after that.
And then that's when you started to create. Was this when you started to create the 7 essential elements?
Yep, that's when I started to take what I had been working on with myself and develop it into a formula that I could then teach other people and run other people through to get them from point A to point B.
Now, you label it 7 essential elements to creating your own...
Creating the life of your dreams.
Creating
Yep.
a life of your
Yep.
dreams. Okay, I knew I was going to stumble on that a little bit.
That's okay.
Because I kept, whenever time I would post it, I'd always start it and then I'd have to go back like, how is it worded again? And even, I just posted a half hour before right now and I'm fumbling over the words, like, wait a minute, what is it again?
Which goes to show we're not even, like it doesn't even
Right.
stick in our brain to say, create the life of my dreams, you know? Like, it's that far into us.
And it's sad
Yes,
because you
it's
want to
so-
do that.
Yep. It's so important. If we're going to feel fulfilled and we're going to live a full life, we have to start embracing that depth.
Exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And I also want to bring up to you guys as well, if you have any questions for us, one, you can get into the chat room. Obviously, you must be on the chat room if you're watching us, or if you're on WCTV, you can watch SpookySouthCoast.com backslash stumbling tonight /SpookyTV, and we can pick up your question on the chat room, or better yet, if you want to give us a call, please feel free to give us a call at 781-281-8433, and one of us, hopefully Rosemary, can answer your questions about guidance. It's pretty much about guidance and learning to trust your own
Yep.
gut and just go with it. And
Yep.
I think I always love talking about taking that leap of faith, and I love preaching about it, and it's something that I have to harness to do. Steph did it, and she's been very successful at it because she's just letting the universe take over and allow it to happen. And the same with you. You took that leap of faith as well.
Yep.
And that's when
For sure. And that's when we make a decision, that is responded to within our lives. So when we make that decision and we start taking action from that place of decision, things happen.
it's true. It does. It really does. So let's talk about now, we're talking as far as the formula goes. Okay, there's a couple bullet points here. All right. And what we just mentioned, actually, honoring your intuition.
It's the first one of the essential elements, and they are done in order. And it's obviously they all run off each other as well, but they're worked through from 1 to 7. And the first one is honor your intuition. There's this beautiful navigation system that we have within us that we've come to ignore. And it's better than any technology out there. And if we just can quiet ourselves just enough to pay attention to our feelings, that's when we can easily start moving through the flow of life.
Exactly. And I always say to you guys, too, you never want to second guess yourself. You know, we always tend to second guess ourselves, or it's that self-doubt. But just if you honor it, that's the step 1.
Yep.
Step 2, deepen your desires.
So when we talk about, my title is The Truth Seeker's Guide, and when we talk about finding our truth and living our truth in order to love our lives, we have to go deeper into our desires, because in the desires is our truth. It goes hand in hand. It's not like there's something we're supposed to be living and it's something we don't really want to live.
Right.
It's like hidden in our desires, which is another thing that we're not really taught to harness. So we go deeper into that. Like when I'm working with someone, we just take them deeper, and when they think they've gone as deep as they can, we go even deeper, and we really just start pulling out the stuff that we have a tendency to be afraid of what we really desire, because if we allow ourselves to feel what we really desire, then there's the fear of what if it doesn't happen. So it's pushing that fear aside and going deep anyway.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you use any form of meditation during your workshops at all?
I always advise everyone that it's great, even just 15 minutes every morning, get up and start your day with sitting for 15 minutes, and there's nothing magical about it. You don't have to have some power of quieting your mind. It's literally learning to sit with yourself and seeing what's going on in your mind.
Yep. Just because as you were speaking about deepening your desires and pulling the strings and trying to figure it out, that was the first thing that came to mind is you have to quiet your mind and really get back to your basics to really understand okay, this is my true self. This is how I'm feeling. So I was
Right.
thinking meditation would be a great aspect to help getting you to figure out what your true desires are.
For
So-
sure. It's a great doorway in. Yeah.
And then the third, we're going right down. So I hope you guys are writing this down. So far we talked about honoring your intuition. Maybe you should speak, or maybe Steph should speak, because I'm obviously having issues. The first one is honoring your intuition and deepening your desires, and the next one is master your mission.
And this one I always kind of giggle at because it wasn't that long ago where I would have rolled my eyes at this one, like, my mission, you know? But the truth is we are spiritual beings, you know this, and we do come here with unique gifts and unique talents that can serve the world in an amazing way. And if we don't actually start to get in touch with that and realize, like, okay, I have these gifts, and find our own special way of giving that to the world, I say get in touch with your snowflakeness. Once you start to do that and really accept that you have a purpose, you have a reason, and we all know it on some deeper level, but then we don't want to kind of face it and accept it and work from that space. But
Right.
it's key. If we don't get in line with what our own special thing is, then how are we ever going to be satisfied? No matter what we do, we're going to come up short.
Right. Exactly. And I think that's the thing. I always find people older, and by the way, there's no better time than right now to start harnessing that. But I always feel like I always run into people that are older that actually understand it. You know, it's like everybody goes through this process when they're younger. There's very few of us, or at least few to my knowledge, where they're starting to harness their gift at such a young age. Because it's that trial and error as far as, you know, like you said, honoring your intuition. A lot of times instead of honoring it, we'll say, well, let me just finish this corporate job, or why don't we do this, or why don't we do that? And you kind of put it off until you're ready for it. So it does come at all ages. But it's, like I said, if you know it when you're younger, I think more power to you. But a lot of times it seems to be happening for people that have been through it, and now they're like, okay, now I'm ready to take the next journey.
Right, like it almost takes hating your life in order to realize
Right,
that you have
exactly.
to
You're
work
like, what am
toward
I doing?
liking
All
it.
right, we gotta figure this out. You
Right,
know?
and I was talking to someone even younger just the other day, and they were saying, like, the people that I know who are in school or are about to go into college, they are completely in that, like, what job am I going to get in the top companies? And they're not, because we're not taught to do this work. We're not taught to embrace our hearts. But the cool thing is that it's like the popular thing to do right now.
Right.
It's like in style to get in touch with yourself and really start loving your life, which is pretty cool.
And it's all, again, like all holistic. Because I can remember when I was in high school, I mean, yoga was foreign.
Yes, yep.
You know, it was like, oh, you're going to take yoga? What's that, like gymnastics? You know, like
Right.
you just didn't have that background. And then all of a sudden, I can remember, I'm taking you back. I won't tell you what year, but I'm going to take you back to high school. And I was on the field hockey bus driving to Barnstable, and I remember my coach said, all right, I'm going to have you guys close your eyes. And that was my very first meditation, because she walked us through, like, you're going to relax. I know you guys are excited. I can't even remember what it was, but I just remember it was like a meditation, and it was something that I never experienced before. And I did very well that game because I was ready for it. I was like, oh. But, of course, we probably thought she was off her rocker for doing it, but it's just funny because there wasn't a lot of information that was given to us 10, 15 years ago.
Not at all.
You know?
20 years ago when I started, the option was pretty much talk therapy.
Right.
And that was it. I mean, hypnosis was around, but they weren't taking it to where it's being taken to
Right.
now. And, you know, that's kind of how I started. I started going to a therapist, and it was like the therapist wasn't taking me fast enough, far enough, or deep enough. And I was like, after a few years of like seeing a therapist, then not, then seeing one and not, and realizing like this isn't taking me where I want to go, that's when I really started to learn all this stuff, because
Right.
it was like, okay, if I want to heal, I had childhood traumas that I needed to work through, and I was miserable. Like, I spent a lot of years just wanting to be dead. And I really didn't want to be dead, but I was that unhappy. And in order for me to transition out of that, I had to figure out how to do it on my own. There was no internet. There weren't all these different modalities to work through to help you to get from where you were to healing and happiness.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, because you're right, there are so many different, like the internet. I remember thinking, like, the World Wide Web. What is that all about?
Mm-hmm.
And
So when AOL was brand new, nobody knew what it was.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
You've got mail.
at least Steph's younger than both of us, so
Yeah.
at least in high school you probably had access to a computer, but
Not as much as you would think. I think today, nowadays, is much different. Like, I remember even when I started college, I went back like years after I started, and I didn't go in this certain building ever. They changed like the food section of it to an internet cafe, and I thought it was the weirdest thing in the world, because I used to just go sit there and like eat. Now they have an internet cafe. Like, what's up with that? You know? And now, like, I thought about it the other day. I was actually thinking about it last night. You can just pop on the internet on your phone now and do anything that you want.
It's computers this big
It's
that we
crazy.
carry in our pockets.
Yeah.
like
And-
even with you, like last night I was in bed, Steph and I were texting back and forth, and it's like, yeah, it's great. Like, I'm
Yeah.
in bed, like, nee, you know, and
Right.
it's,
I remember when I first learned how to text and I didn't understand. It was like probably my sophomore year in high school, and I thought, what's that? You can send a message back and forth from your cell phone?
My first one, I dated a guy who could text on his phone, and I could receive text, but I couldn't send text.
It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? This actually does this? And then I would like text through like my high school classes. I swear I didn't do it during class. And it was the weirdest thing. I'm like, this is kind of like we had like the AOL Instant Messenger, but it was like a whole new level. Like, now it's on your cell phone. I'm like, how does this work?
See,
You know, what's going
I
on?
can't even imagine. I just remember like Nextel's being like the big thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like
I went through
pagers
that.
first.
Yep.
And it was like
Pagers.
everybody had a pager. I didn't have a pager, but I had a boyfriend that had a pager, and he was from Brockton, so
I was
didn't-
just, I lived in New York, and it was pretty much
Okay.
the drug dealers
Yeah, but he was like,
that had beepers.
yeah, he was like, I was like, oh, you have a pager? And then I can remember like paging like whatever the numbers meant.
It was the
like,
craziest thing.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right.
Like
Yep.
143 was I love you, or like emergency was like 911, and it was
Yeah.
like, are you coming to pick me up? Okay, good. You know,
Right,
it just,
right,
Yeah.
right.
it's funny how much, and we're so blessed actually. I mean, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because it's great because you can just type in yoga or life coach or life transformation, live your dreams, and so you'll get an answer just like that. May not be the answer you're looking for, but you will get something. You
I
know?
think society's moving toward a more enlightened sense.
I would hope
It's still
so.
taking a long
And I
time.
think the internet
but
is playing a big part of
Yes.
that, for sure.
Absolutely.
It's that global brain, and it connects all of us. Like, all of the work that I do, it's all done over Skype.
I was
And
just
like,
gonna
so I
mention
can work
that.
with people all over the globe. You don't have to get in a car and go somewhere. You know, like, it's so easy to connect with people, and that's where, like, everybody, once you get in touch with your gifts, which is happening more and more all over the planet, and then you can share it with so many people. It's so amazing.
Exactly. Like, we don't have to sit in this beautiful living room every week.
Right. I
We
mean,
can.
we're blessed to be
exactly.
able to do that.
Like, we can actually, after this, you guys know this goes on YouTube, and then it goes to whoever wants it. You
Right.
know? And I think that's great, because then people have the availability that they want if they're looking about transformational coaches and so forth.
Do you remember when you'd have to, like, if you wanted to meet somebody like Rosemary or us, it'd have to be through like word of mouth, secret phone number passed to a
Yes.
friend.
Mailings, local
Yeah.
mailings.
Yep. And then you get in touch with somebody. It's like, how did we think about now? Like, we basically run our business on the internet.
Right.
Imagine if we were trying to run our business like 20, 30 years ago.
No.
It's
It wouldn't
amazing that
happen.
people did it and succeeded at
Oh,
it.
absolutely. Absolutely.
But the double-edged sword of that is that think of how much. I know Steph and I are crazy when it comes to this. I won't speak for you, but I know because Steph and I are very close.
I'm
But
afraid.
like we between newsletters, Facebook, emails, and Twitter, and all these other social media,
Right.
we're our biggest promoters, and that's what, when you run your own business, that's what you have to do. So we're constantly on it, which is great because that's what we enjoy doing. But then again, sometimes, and I'll speak for myself, it gets in the way of my personal life. Like, I'll be up at 12:31 in the morning, like, I have to email this person back, or I have to do, and that's where the double-edged sword comes in, because it can be very obsessive.
I think it's about time management. I know for myself, I set boundaries for myself because even though I have a business that is my heart-centered business that I love and that it's helping people, I still need to have a private, personal life. So I just set boundaries, like, this is the amount of hours I want to work per week, these are the days I want to work, and you just have to honor yourself enough to stick to that.
It's so funny because I've been trying to tell Tiff about this
Yes.
for I don't know how long, because I've gotten to a point where I've managed myself to where I'm comfortable. Like, obviously in the time crunch, in 30 days I have to get a bonus. Things get a little wild like that, but I've gotten to the point where I can wake up, I'll set a certain time to answer my emails. Like, people don't need that answer back immediately, but we try to teach Tiff to...
Right, like,
you know what, that's my
relax.
corporate, that's my corporate mind, for being in corporate America for so long. I'm like, I gotta get right back to them.
And that's exactly what I'm helping people transition out of. Like, it's not about working an 80-hour week and being available every second. That's honoring someone else and not honoring yourself. So you have to find that path right in the middle.
And
I hope you're listening.
I know, believe me, the universe in the past week, the universe is like, bam,
This
bam,
is your
bam.
swift kick.
That's exactly what's happening.
Yes.
Because I'm not sure if you and I had this conversation off the air or not.
Possibly.
Yeah, about certain things. It was like 3 days in a row, people had mentioned the exact same topic, which I didn't bring up, but they brought up like something to do with me, and it was the exact same topic, and I'm like, all right, I got it.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
like, and it's just 3 people that didn't talk to each other, didn't know each other, and they brought it up, so I'm like, okay, I got it.
Yep. So that's what you have to
that's
honor.
something- Yes.
That's honoring
Yes.
those signs that come in.
Now, okay, so we talked about the master your mission, because I know we always veer from what we always talk. But I mean, it's all kind of combined. Again, I want to bring up, if you guys have any questions for Rosemary, it's 781-281-8433. Definitely call in. I am expecting to hear from someone, because she said she was going to be watching on her birthday. So I'm hoping she calls us so we can say happy birthday. Again, the number is 781-281-8433. Okay, so the next step, as far as the 7 essential elements to creating the life of your dreams, is own your own.
Own your own. So this is the one right in the middle where we sort of do a little switcheroo, and it's looking at your own shadow side. And it's that voice that we all have kind of in the background that is self-sabotaging. It's the voice that backs the negative behaviors, that says, I'm not good enough, that's not possible, I'm too tall, too short, too fat, too thin, that voice that we all carry around with us that can sabotage our dreams. And if we just do I'm not a big fan of the think positive thing, like, you want to have a basic positive structure to yourself. You don't want to be doom and gloom every day, but then within that, you want to allow yourself to have the whole spectrum of feelings and experience and emotion. And when we actually own the negativity that's going on inside of us, that's when we can actually start to transition it. And when we start to move that stuff out of the way, that's when, like, the magic really starts to happen. When we start getting in touch with our desires and allowing our intuition to lead us and knowing what our mission is or what our special gift is, and then we get rid of the stuff that's internally holding us back, that's when stuff starts just being created.
And we all have it. I think they actually did a movie on it, or just like, I think it was from the creators of The Secret, called, I saw it, but I can't remember. I don't want to call it The Shadow, because that sounds so... That's not it.
Oh, I don't know.
It's something about shadow. I forget. My good friend Karen Rindo, that's her birthday, but happy birthday, Karen. If you're watching, I hope you are, and there goes my mic as always. But every show.
She drops her
But
microphone. It's tradition.
there's actually someone else with a birthday, so I'm hoping she does call in. But my friend Karen Rando, she's the one we watched it together. I can't remember the name of it. But anyways, I guess it doesn't matter too much. But
Well, that was the element that was kind
Yeah,
of
it
missing
was
from the
just-
secret. Like there was something missing. You could take it so far, but then you get stuck. You hit a wall, and you're like, okay, I can get the cup of coffee a day, but I can't create these big things I want in my life. And it's because our own subconscious, our own emotional body is holding on to things that are holding us back. So that's the own your own step is about you've got to move that stuff out of the way, or you're only going to get as far as, the equivalent of the cup of coffee a day. But if you want to be living a life that is, completely fulfilling to your head and your heart, you're going to have to go a little bit deeper.
Yep. Taking the leap.
Yep.
Taking the leap. I know, because that's something that I struggle with.
What'd you say, Tiff?
Well, I
was
said
that?
that's why
You said
I
it out
struggle.
loud. What'd you
I
say?
struggle.
Take a leap.
You gotta take that leap. I know.
So weird that you bring that up.
When I take that leap, I will, and I promise you, I will. I'm gonna throw myself
We're gonna make
a party.
Rosemary come back every week.
Well, these are the things that are holding you back. So you don't want to throw yourself into it if you're not ready. Like, you don't want to be like, well, I think I'm supposed to quit my job now and then quit, and then your whole life falls apart because you weren't technically
now I'm
ready.
homeless
You want to
and-
get right. You want to get rid of those subconscious beliefs that are making you afraid to take
Right.
that leap, so that you're like, oh, what leap? I'm just stepping over here. I'm just stepping from
Exactly.
here to here.
Exactly. And it's,
so weird.
well, like I said, it's diminishing daily, especially the universe, like I said, and you said, it's kicking me in the butt. It is.
And
right?
you're your own worst enemy.
Yeah, I am.
See, we actually secretly, this is an intervention. We
It is.
have
I'm
her
glad. I
come
need
on
this
for
intervention.
personal
We
counseling.
should do a session.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll do a session for you,
Yes.
and we'll work on getting rid of some of those
I'm-
beliefs. I have
I'm ready.
some techniques
I am
that we can
ready.
use to get rid of them.
I'm
Yeah.
ready for it. I'm not even kidding.
Okay, I'm not
So
either.
we're gonna set it up.
Yep.
No, if she
Wait,
doesn't go,
definitely
I'm
let me
driving
know.
her.
Okay.
Said if you don't go, I'm driving you.
Yeah, I need that.
I can only get her so far. You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Right.
Yep.
You're
And
the
I know
horse.
how I am when I see something for someone, and I'm like, it's right there, and I hate it when people say, I know, and I'm the guilty one right now saying, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but don't be hard on yourself. When the timing is right, you'll do it.
Right.
So maybe the timing is right. We'll do a session, and you'll move into it feeling good about it instead of moving into it feeling like, oh my God. Even if there's
Right.
a little bit of fear, that's okay. But when you're at the point where you're kind of frozen because of the fear, you don't want to force yourself, because that
Exactly.
fear is going to drive every motion you
And we
take.
actually have,
have a
call.
phone call.
Call from
Kira.
to accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
I pressed 1. Hello, Kira.
Hi.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Kira.
Thank you. You know I had to call. I had to do the Aries.
Good. I'm so glad. I was like, I thought I asked her to call. I know she's gonna call. Are you having a good day today?
I am, actually. I'm doing everything I can to do nothing.
Good. That's what we need. A little bit of just self-nurture. Mm-hmm. Do you have a question for Rosemary?
Actually, I don't. I was just listening and actually finding it very fascinating. I did like her page on Facebook yesterday, and I'm looking at it very, very interesting, and I'm looking forward to reading and hearing more about it.
Thank you so much,
awesome.
Kira.
And she,
No
I don't know
problem.
if she does have a website that's pretty, it's a really nice website, which is, how can they find you?
www.rosemarybrocco.com.
So, and she will be
Okay.
doing classes and so forth.
Yep, and if you go, you can do it either on my Facebook page or on the website. If you sign up for my mailing list, then I give away 5 free coaching sessions a month. So just by signing up for
okay.
the list, you get put on the list to get a free session.
Excellent.
Well, happy birthday to you, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm so glad that you called.
Well, I said I would. I had to go grab my food, or I would have called a couple minutes earlier.
Oh, that's okay. Are you going to have cake or anything?
Oh yeah, my stepmother brought me over a nice ice cream cake. It's in my freezer waiting.
Good. We'll be there after.
And my husband and my daughter are going to make me one tomorrow. So
That's
Good.
awesome.
See, there you go.
Well, thank you for calling in, Kira. It was so good to hear from you.
Thank you so much, and thanks for
Thank you.
connecting.
Have a good night.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
Happy birthday.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
The lights are blinding me. I was looking over there. Usually I look up.
I have
'cause
a
always
question
feel-
before you continue talking about the lights. So, being this far into what you do and helping other people, like we're in the business to help other people too, but do you feel yourself not taking your own advice sometimes, or do you find it hard to listen to yourself?
You know, to be totally honest, I did until I created the formula.
Okay.
And every time I mean, I live this every single day. Every time I come up against something in my life, I know that it's going to fall into one of those 7. So I just look at it and I go, okay, am I ignoring my intuition? Am I not fully connected to my desire? You know, I figure out which one it falls into, and then I work it through there.
That's awesome, because I know like we do all kinds of different spirit work and everything else, but we still catch ourselves being human sometimes and having a tough time getting through something. So I wasn't sure if like, you know, like you might be a hairdresser, but you still go to somebody else to get your hair done.
Oh,
type
I have
thing.
a coach.
Yes, I didn't know if like you
absolutely.
had one or you have
Absolutely, I
someone to
have a
bounce
coach.
off of.
And I bump into this. I don't think it ever ends.
Right.
You might go to a different level or a different layer of your own experience, but it is always more. Expansion is eternal.
Right.
So it never ends. You know,
Right.
of course I work through this stuff every day, and like I said, I have a coach and I have other mentors and I have friends, and it's the same because we can't hear ourselves the
Right.
way someone
Right.
else can. Like I do sessions with someone, and sometimes I literally say bitch. And I sit there. Was I not supposed to say that on TV?
It's a female dog.
Sorry.
It's a female dog.
And I just write down what I hear. And then I say, okay. Like they'll just be I'll like say pick a subject or whatever's going on. Just start complaining about it. And they'll get into it, and I'll sit there and write, okay, I'm scared that this isn't going to work. And I can hear the subconscious beliefs that are behind that, and I just write them down, and then I'll go, okay, this is what I'm hearing. And they're like, yeah, that's what I'm feeling.
That's
but you don't
awesome.
even know it. And you don't hear yourself. So I need the ears out here to listen as well.
I
Yeah.
think we all do.
Yes.
you know,
Absolutely.
Especially like Steph's my therapist.
Yes.
And it usually takes place every Tuesday after the show.
Right.
But it's true. Like you always need that, because people always say, I always feel like you're a psychiatrist. I'm like, I'm
Right.
not a psychiatrist by any means,
Right.
but at the same time, being who we are, being intuitive to begin with, we're very, if Steph came to me with something, I'd be like, well, it's probably, I could see it so clearly because
Right.
it's not my life.
Right.
You know, but
So we kind of do this whole bouncing thing back and
Right.
forth, because I think it's healthy when you have that person that can understand you and you can trust and they understand what you're going through. Like, especially being mediums, we feel things a little bit more than everybody else does. Being connected to energy constantly, like something that would bother an everyday person just going through the motions of life bothers us 10 times more because we feel it 10 times more. So it's difficult to deal with. And I say to Tiff all the time, she'll be like, this happened and oh my God. And I'll be like, really? Because if you did this, like you tell everybody, she's like, I know, shh, don't say that. And then she'll keep going. But it's funny because like she understands, but it's the part of like implementing what's going on in your life, implementing the actions to take control and to change the situation is really difficult sometimes, especially if you're on your own trying to figure it out yourself. So
Right. And it's funny that you bring that up because it's true. Like she'll say, like I'll vent to her or say, this is my issue, blah, 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 blah. And then before she even says anything, I'll say, I know I need to do blah, blah, blah,
I know
blah,
what you're
blah.
going to say to me because I
And
say
then-
it so often.
Yeah.
Right. And then you're like, well, yeah, that's what you do. That's what you should do. And I'm like, right.
But I
And then
can't do
she
it.
says, well, why aren't you doing it? And I'm like,
Right.
that's that, like pulling the trigger is the toughest thing for me.
Yes,
It's like,
for sure.
I know.
Yep, internalizing is never the hamster. I always use the reference of the hamster on the wheel in your head,
Yep.
and you could stay there forever, and it can analyze everything, and it can come up with excuses for everything. You need the outside ears, and you need to hear your own voice. Sometimes, if I'm sitting in a room by myself, I'll just whatever's going on in my head, I'll say out loud.
Right.
Even if it's just to myself, I'll play both sides because when you actually hear it coming out of your mouth,
Yeah.
it sounds a lot different than when it's
Yes.
running around inside your head.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which brings me to the next. Don't wait, create.
Yep. So this is where it really starts getting juicy. So you start, listening to your intuition, and you're getting into your desires, and you're figuring out like what your special gifts are, and you're moving your junk out of the way. And then it's like, okay, as we're moving the excuses, which we all have them, I'm waiting for the weather to change. I'm waiting for my spouse to stop acting that way. I'm waiting for my boss to realize how special I am. All of those excuses.
How'd you just name all the ones that I
I'm getting a kick out of this whole thing. I'm the outside person looking in right now. This is fun.
I'm like, did you read my mind?
So it's about not waiting for those things, but creating what you want. So instead of waiting for something to happen to you, you're creating the things that you want.
Right. Right. Which is, it's
So
happening.
strange.
It is happening. As we speak, all this stuff is happening. It's probably happening to you guys at home too, and you don't even realize.
Well, it's
it.
funny because even though everybody has different problems, I think this set that you've come up with really does speak to everybody, whether it's, wanting to leave your job or wanting to leave, a bad relationship or just wanting to move on with your life or in your career, anything like that. These things touch on different levels of every different problem.
Right, that's the thing. You could, let's say I offer a 3-month program. Let's say you sign up and we work on you finding your purpose. That's where you want to get to. But you have the formula and you know how to work through it forever. So any other thing that comes up in life, you can just run it through the same exact thing and get yourself from point A to point B.
I wish I was taking notes.
That's okay. You're just going to go home, be the hamster, and watch the show over and over and over again.
You're like, rewind.
Yep.
Again, if you guys have any questions for Rosemary, you can give us a call at 781-281-8433. I definitely highly recommend that you ask her some questions because, especially last week, we had Robin Carton, spiritual astrologer, on, and we were all talking about how the moon was in Libra, and it's all about coming full circle, finding that balance, and with spring being rebirth, it all seems to be fitting perfectly.
Yeah, it's a great time right now.
The next one on the list is find comfort in discomfort.
So we live in a culture that is largely based on avoiding discomfort. There is any number of things out there that we can latch onto in order to get away from discomfort. There's a pill for everything, there's a drink, there's shopping, there's the internet. This is where the kind of bad side of that escape comes in. But in order to do this deeper work, in order to really get to the place where your life resonates on the deepest of levels with you, you have to be willing to actually make friends with discomfort because there's no getting rid of it. I like to use the example of even if you got a job and it was the greatest job you could ever imagine, when you first go to it the first few days, you don't even have the synapses in your brain firing to relate those things. So it's awkward, it's uncomfortable, you're meeting new people, you're doing new things. So it's about really making friends with that and inviting that into your life. Discomfort is a messenger. It's always one of two things. It either shows up to say, hey, there's something new here, and you've got to give it a little time for you to get used to it, or it's a sign that something needs to be enormously assessed, often let go. There are some exceptions to the rule, but most of the time it's that something needs to go or something new has come in. So it's about looking at it as a messenger. So when you're uncomfortable, instead of running the other way or freaking out or thinking that it's some sign that you're not supposed to be doing what you're doing, you just look at it and say, okay, well, what do you have to show me? What is the thing that I need to either let it go or give myself a little time?
Right. Exactly. And I think that's one of the toughest things is because we tend to give ourselves more time than letting go. We're like, we'll just give it a little bit more time. And then that's when, like you had mentioned before, setting your boundaries. And I always talk about setting your boundaries. But
Right. It's not about sitting in something that's old and uncomfortable. Like if it's something new and you just need to get through that little tunnel of letting it become comfortable, but you don't want to be sitting in that discomfort forever. That's the kind of discomfort that's, the red festering wound that's saying, look at me, I need to be healed.
I think it's easy too to sit back and hide in the corner rather than dealing with the discomfort or dealing with the possibility of change and the uncomfortable situation or the awkward confrontation of, you know, meeting new people and dealing with new things or talking to people about something that, you know, you don't really know, you know, is this going to work out? Is this not going to work out? So I think a lot of people have that problem. They just kind of, they'd rather hide under the table than go join the party, pretty much.
For sure, but it's so exciting once you do. Like, when you actually become friends with it, you're like, whatever, sometimes I'm going to feel uncomfortable, something new is going to come up. Right. But then when you do those things, you're like, wow, like, I can really feel my own energy, my heart's racing. Like, it's fun. It makes life exciting. Absolutely. It doesn't have to be something that we run from and that we're scared from. It can be something that we embrace and enjoy about being human.
Exactly. So feel those emotions, whether it's the discomfort, whether it's happy, whether it's anxiety. You know, I think everybody suffers from anxiety.
At some one time or another, for sure.
Right.
Everyone.
Right. So then we conclude with deal with detours.
This was this is probably one of my favorites because it was probably the hardest one for me. So I tend to think every time I come up against some sort of detour, or at least this is how I used to look at it, like, oh, that's a sign that I'm not supposed to be doing this, and I like completely abandon ship. So I like to use the example of if you were going on vacation and you were driving from New York to California. When you're about a quarter of the way there, if you hit a detour, would you go, sorry kids, we're going home, we're not going? No, you'd be like, okay, let me take out my phone and figure out a different route. And if your phone wasn't working for whatever reason, if there was a cop standing there, you'd roll the window down and you'd ask for assistance. And these are things that we don't even realize. We abandon ship so easily. We would never, on our way to California, say we're not going because there's a roadblock.
Right.
But when it's our own life, we're like, oh, it's just like, okay, never mind, I'm not supposed to be doing this. So it's really something that needs to be cultivated to really look again at a detour as a sign that just says not this way, and usually it's going to send us to a way that's even easier and faster and better for us.
Right. But I like that analogy because it's true. So many of us, and I was talking to Steph last night about something, and I was just like, it's frustrating, you know, because there's certain things that I wanted to do and I couldn't do them. So
instead of giving up, Tiff,
you just look at them as street signs. They're just they're just street signs along the way. That's all they are. And the thing that we often forget too is that there's a cop standing there who can give you directions. This is that beauty of the internet. No matter what you come up against, no matter what's going on, there is someone somewhere at your fingertips that can help you through it. So ask for help. You know, we don't want to be what we always say, guys don't want to ask for directions. That's all of us when it comes to life. We're like, when you get there, just, okay, you know, if you can't figure it out yourself, for sure. If you can, like, go back to step one, check in with your intuition. Maybe your intuition will give you a nudge on which way to go. And if you're still not sure how to maneuver, then just ask for help.
And what's the worst that could possibly happen? Because as a society, we're always trained, whether we're praying to a god or, you know, putting our thoughts in and allowing them to manifest, we're still asking. So why not? If it's something that is of physical nature, where you said the internet, why not ask that way? You know, and you can. It's just we get so used to, you know, setting our intentions and praying or, you know, allowing them to manifest. But when it comes to something, again, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I just can't figure out this website that I'm creating for myself, you know.
We panic.
Exactly. You panic and you're like, just, you know what, forget it.
Right,
you know?
Forget it.
I always say that. I'm like, just forget it. I don't care. I'll just forget it. You know, and you can't, like, because you've already come that so far that you need to actually work on completing it.
Yep.
So there you have it. You have the 7 steps as far as the 7 essential elements to creating the life of your dreams. Ready? Pen, paper, ready to write? Honor your intuition. Deepen your desires. Master your mission. Own your own. Don't wait. Create. Find comfort in discomfort. Deal with detours. And we all struggle with it. It's not easy.
Right, right. And I offer a 3-month program that I work you through. It's 12 weeks working through the 7 steps, so we have extra time in there in case, it's more than one
Oh,
week you need on
great.
any of those things. And this is the structure that I use for everything. This is what I work people through in my program.
Now, in the program, would it be individual? Is it one-on-one?
It's
or would you do
one-on-one mentorship.
That's
Yep,
great.
it's 12 weeks of having me by your side and the process by your side to when you really make the decision, like I want to transform, it's 3 months of completely transforming your life from start to finish. In just 3 months, I mean, it took me, years. I've been working on this stuff for 20 years, but I always say I have found, it took me so long because there wasn't so much available, but now I know the shortcuts and the cliff notes to getting there, so I can help people get there so much faster. Getting to that place where, our entire life it's heart-centered. It's based around, the truth of who we are and our own authenticity.
And I also think it's difficult too. I mean, again, we've discussed that there's more people that are very open to it, but if you're growing up in a family or a spouse or what have you that may not be so open to this kind of stuff as honoring your heart-centered, it might be difficult. So then again, there goes Rosemary, who you can talk to, and she's your coach. She's kind of acts as your mentor.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely beneficial.
Yeah, to have someone like by your side and on your side.
On your team.
So when those other people are like, what are you doing? And questioning you and they don't understand what's going on, you have someone there whispering in your ear that's just reminding you, stay connected, stay on the path. It's great. And it's someone who holds you accountable. Like, okay, these are your homework assignments for the week. This is what you need to go do to take these actions in your life and make it start to work. And when you have to, report back a week later and say whether you did the assignments, it's just great. It's not like, a teacher standing over you, but it's great to have someone to hold you accountable. Like when we do it on our own, it's like, oh, you start it and then you're like, yeah, it gets a little challenging, which is the whole point. You want to be pushed to a new place. It's going to be challenging and we can give up. But when you have someone there who's holding your hand through the process and holding you accountable for it, it makes it that much easier.
Talk about Weight Watchers, girls. I know we've all done it. I remember doing that about 10 years ago at my old job. We all went in and did Weight Watchers. But it was one of those things where it was great because, like you said, the accountability, that's what we need. So whether it's Weight Watchers or whether it's, the life transformation, which we all need to honor, it's definitely great to have. And even you still have your coach you mentioned.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll always have a coach. And I'll always have mentors because, like we were saying, you need those outer ears and that reflection back in to hear yourself. It's vitally important.
Because it's very easy to defeat yourself.
It's so easy to derail yourself if you don't have somebody there just to remind you.
And again, we're here with Rosemary Brocco. If you guys have any questions, as we are winding down to the last few minutes of the show, you can give us a call at 781-281-8433. I always find that you guys don't see it at home, but there's a red dot right above, and I'm always staring at the dot and not the camera. But then again, glasses
It's the same vicinity, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Okay. If you can see my eyes,
I think he just winked at you with that red light.
It's a little wink.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. So now what's coming up with you? I know as far as we just discussed again, I'll repeat it, the 7, notice I still have to look, the 7 essential elements to creating the life of your dreams. What's next on the agenda?
Well, I just launched this program, so I'm taking it, to the streets, so to speak, going out and talking about this and presenting it to people. And, my hope is to just inspire more and more people I really feel like there are undeniable changes going on the planet right now, globally, for all of us, and then in our own individual lives, there's just catalysts everywhere, and we're going through this huge transition. And I want to be a part of that, and I want to use this program and what I have to offer to just sort of help that transition go that much smoother and that much faster.
And I think it will if we do notice our heart-centered passion on where we need to go, what paths we need to take. You know, we always say that within the past 10 years, we've become more and more accepting to a holistic type of avenue. However, even though we may have become more accepting, there's still the what I call regulars that are people that just want to see what they can see, and that's it. But that's okay too.
Yeah, it's really about accepting those people where they are. But then, you know, for me, it's presenting these things to the people who have the ears
Right.
to listen. And everybody's at different phases and different, you know, stages of the game.
Right.
But it's just, you know, it's just making that decision, you know, and it's just being there for people when they're ready to make that decision. And then at some point, I want to take it a little farther and probably not until 2014, but I want to put together an organization to start bringing this sort of healing to like third world countries and people who don't have access to it like we do.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, yep.
Road trip. I always say that.
That's a
Whenever
fire
time
one.
we have a guest on, when Jody St. Ange was on, and
Jody
we
was
did-
our official first road trip.
Yes, we actually
we
did
always
go.
say, yeah.
But whenever time someone has a holistic center, or if they're going to go someplace, we always say road trip.
Oh yeah, that's where I met you.
Yes.
That time, yes.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And
That
it
was our
was-
official
It was
first
the week
field trip.
before Jody was on the show,
Yep.
and she's the one that said, "Oh, you guys would probably really like the seminar we're having at the shop." So, and I'm doing a gallery reading at Blue Angel Healing, April 26th. Ooh, another call.
Phone call. They hung up.
Oh,
Okay.
you can call back again, 781-281-8433. Last call of the night.
We have about 3 minutes, so
3 minutes? Wow.
Yep.
I feel like this hour went by.
let's try again.
Call from
Hello.
Hi, Bernie.
Hey.
Hi.
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 I just want to know, what is it that you do to start your day off right?
What is it that I do to start my day off right? 15 minutes of
Right.
seated meditation. Actually, I take my dogs for a half an hour walk first, and then I sit for 15 minutes of meditation. I get centered and connect, and if I don't do it, I notice my entire day runs differently than if I do it.
Does that include, say, grounding through the feet and then opening the chakras?
Nope, it's not anything even that technical. I literally sit Indian style on a cushion, and I close my eyes, and I feel my breath, and I notice where my thoughts are, and I notice where my energy's at, and I just sit with myself and notice where I am. And if you sit for 15 or 20 minutes, you notice toward the end of the minutes, all of a sudden, the stuff will start to fall away. Your mind will start to relax, and you will get more of a sense of peace just from sitting there with it. You don't have to do a lot of crazy visualizing. You don't have to do a lot of planning. Just sit with yourself.
That's something I have to do, is more listening.
I think we
Yeah.
all
Thank
have to
you.
do that, Bernie.
You're very welcome. Thanks for calling.
Have a good week.
Thank
You
you.
too, Bernie.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. So I know we are winding down to the hour. So, Rosemary, how can people reach you?
You can reach me on my website at www.rosemarybrocco.com and on Facebook at Live Your Truth University. Those are the two best places. I'm also on Twitter and LinkedIn under Rosemary Brocco.
And if you guys are on Twitter, I know Spirit Tiff on Twitter, but I posted about you as well.
Yep.
So you can find
Oh,
her
yep.
through me. And then also Spirit Medium Tiffany on Facebook, and Steph.
I am sburke910 on Twitter and sburke910 on Facebook.
So, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I wish the best of luck to you, and I can't wait for our consultations.
Yes, for sure.
All right, and take a big, deep breath in, relax, and that's it. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and we will be back next week, same time, same channel. Have a good week, and try to meditate and honor your intuition. Start there. That's step one.
Yep.
All right, guys. Have a good night.